This is Anthony with Vapehead, and this is just a rant, basically. I found a couple of news articles over the past couple of days off of Facebook, and I even had one in my own local newspaper, which was really, really odd, but okay. Because usually you don't find stuff like that there in the local paper around here. But anyway, the one in the local paper talked about how some of the e-cigarette companies are being bought up by the tobacco companies because the tobacco companies see themselves losing ground quickly with their little cancer sticks that they still sell, and which I think is a really, really cool thing to sit there and watch them attempt to try to, you know, they have no choice but to admit that the only way they're going to stay afloat is to go along with what's going on with everything else, and to just suck it up and start making e-cigarettes instead of making their normal smoke. But there was another article that I saw where it talked about Australia had banned them, and I don't know why people want to turn around and say that, you know, the FDA steps forward and says that the reason that they are doing what they're doing is for public health. And the FDA is there to save you. You know, they're the ones who said eggs were bad in the 90s. They're the ones who said tomatoes were bad in the late 80s. They're the ones who said that, oh, eggs are okay for you now in the early 2000s. I take their word about as far as I could throw them. The FDA now says that the juice, which is why they banned it in New York, because the juice might have something toxic in it. It might have something toxic in it. The FDA has no idea what it has in it because they've never took the time to test it. Um, normally they don't allow things to go on the market unless the Food and Drug Administration, our lovely FDA, has okayed it. They've already processed through it. They've run every known test to man on it to make sure that it's not going to hurt you. And they haven't even bothered to do this with e-juice. Though I take it for granted by trust and faith in the people who are doing it, that they're only doing it with the best of products and not with the crappy stuff that they could possibly get. Um, and that's the only thing anybody can do. But as far as myself, banning these things is not going to be the answer. I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you smoke or whether you don't smoke. And people who don't smoke and think that these are the nastiest things that they've ever heard of, or oh, they're going to get our kids addicted to this. If anybody's going to choose to do this, because you have to be 19 in order to buy them in most states. Number one, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way you're going to stop a 19-year-old from walking into a vape shop and buying a battery and a tank, or a mod and a tank and a container of juice. If they choose, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do that because I have the money to buy it. They have the legal right to sell it to me, and I am of legal age to buy it. There's nothing anybody's going to do about it. As far as people who have been smoking for years and years and have decided, you know what, I'm no longer going to suck on these things that have toxins and herbicides and pesticides and everything else on them, plus not to mention the tar that's on a cigarette, tobacco, or in the tobacco. We're all adults. And the government is overstepping their bounds, becoming this lovely nanny state to tell us what we should and should not do, where we should and should not go, what we should and should not eat, and where we should and should not smoke. They're talking about banning smoking cigarettes in your car in New York. They're talking about banning smoking in your own house in New York. Which I think the politicians over that particular state are out of their minds. And the people who put them there obviously was not thinking. We are allowing these officials to overstep bounds that are totally inexcusable. And we have nobody to blame for it but ourselves. We voted them in. And we voted them in on the confidence and the faith of what they were saying, which shows that you can only take a man at his word. And obviously, you can't take them very much at their word. Me personally, I'm one of those that I have my opinions and I voice them tremendously most of the time through these videos. I've done this twice before, and my videos are now starting to get little hits every now and then. I'm climbing from 3 or 4 views to 8 or 9 views to 15, 20 views because people are checking out the tank videos, and a couple of people have checked out my little rant videos. Of course, nobody's left a comment, which that's fine. They probably, people that see these probably look at me as, just some, little conspiracy nut dumbass from Alabama, and that's fine if that's the way they see me. We live in a world where we have allowed things to get totally and completely out of hand. And like I said, we have nobody to blame for it but ourselves. We voted these people into the offices that they now hold. From your presidential office all the way down to your local mayor. You voted them in. If they're banning e-juice because of whatever reason, then you're trying to quit smoking, and you put them in office, and now all of a sudden they're trying to take that right away from you. You're the one who put them there. The politicians need to learn how to be a little bit more honest about their intentions once they get inside the office that we are offering to put them in through our votes, which will probably never happen. The whole e-juice controversy, the whole e-cigarette controversy, all boils down to politics and who's going to stay rich. It's no different than the oil. You'll never see a oil lobbyist or a automotive company lobbyist telling a congressman, hey, I saw this really cool engine that runs on burnt grease. We need to put that out on the market. No different than you're never going to see a tobacco lobbyist say, hey, my farmers are tired of doing tobacco. They're tired of being so rich. We want to put backing behind this e-juice and these e-cigarettes. You're never going to see it. It all boils down to money and politics. It always has, it always will. And it pisses me off that somebody else is going to set up in an office that other people put them in, whether I voted for them or not. But other people put them in, and then they're going to turn around and tell me what I should and shouldn't eat, what I should and shouldn't put in my body, whether I should or shouldn't smoke. And if you're going to smoke, you need to smoke these cigarettes that are continuously turning your lungs black and turning them into concrete. Yeah, whatever. No thank you. When I first started this, back in just last month, on the very first day of the month was the day that I totally quit cigarettes. So I have been cigarette free now for 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. I have been cigarette free for 43 days. Have not smoked the first single normal cigarette. All I've been doing is vaping. My lungs feel great. I feel great. Food tastes great. And you're going to sit there and tell me that I shouldn't be doing this? Oh, we're not real sure. We think that juice might be poisonous. The only thing in this juice is the nicotine. Now, granted, there are other chemicals that are added to it, but the most dangerous thing out of the whole bunch is the nicotine itself. And the nicotine is addictive as long as you don't OD on it, which is really not that hard to do, but it is hard to do. What I use is 24. Anything above 24, you're really, really pushing it. I use level 24 as far as the nicotine. I know there's some companies out there. I saw one where the highest level of nicotine they had was a 12. That's like smoking an extreme light Marlboro, which is just basically puffing air. That's all you're doing. You're not getting any nicotine out of it. You're not getting hardly anything out of it at all. It's not even worth the effort to smoke the thing. Excuse me. But that's where we've gotten to. We have allowed these politicians, through the fact that they can't live off their $130-something thousand a year salary, because they have to maintain a house in the state they live in, plus they have to maintain one in Washington. And they can't live off of $100-something thousand a year. Wham. You can't live off $100-something thousand a year. There's a problem there. I could live off $100,000 a year. I'd still have money left over too. They have grown too big for their own pants. Their wallets are so fat they won't fit. And the only thing they can do when they walk up to you, they're shaking your hand with one and they're picking your pocket with the other. The politicians have gotten totally out of hand. These people are robbing us blind of our money and our freedoms. And it's an every single day thing. Sorry. It's an every single day thing. Every day you turn on the news, it's the same thing. If it's not a stabbing or a shooting, it's a politician who's decided they're going to take your rights away. Just like in New York with the e-juice, no different than in New York. They're wanting to get rid of the horse-drawn carriages in Central Park. And it's not because the horses are being abused. It's because they want the property that the stables are sitting on. That's what it all boils down to. That's what we have allowed the politicians to become. Greedy, spoiled little brats who obviously need to be taken out behind the woodshed. That's my rant. That's my opinion. You can like it or not. But for Vapehead, this is Anthony again. And keep on vaping.